Before this video starts, I just want to give a massive shout out to all my channel members. If you want to receive a shout out, then become a channel member today and you'll be shown on screen like all these other channel members here. Anyways, enjoy the video. The Dynamites is one of the oldest sets in the Battle Cats and is defined by having units that are cheap in cost and have a fast cooldown compared to other Ubers, or are Ubers that wouldn't really fit in with the other sets. This set contains a wide variety of units that all do very different things, causing this set to have a massive fan base. This video was made as a 20,000 subscriber special, and as a way to contribute to the community, I figured I would host a poll asking everyone who their favorite Dynamite was. At the end of the voting period, there were a total of 1,110 votes. A massive sample size for something like this. I had taken all of the responses and compiled the reasons people like these Ubers and have them ranked accordingly. All of the points made in this video were made by people who explained why they liked said Uber. Before we start, I just want to ask if we can get this video to 2,000 likes, that would be amazing. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below and let me know who your favorite Dynamite is in the comment section down below. With that out of the way, let's rank all the Dynamites from least to most popular. Having only received 14 votes, Ice Crystal Cat is the least popular of the Dynamites. With what little votes she had, there wasn't too much to work with when it came to describing why people liked her, but here's what I got. The main thing people enjoyed about her is her ability to completely shut down any red enemy she encounters. Having a 4.8 second freeze time against red enemies means her freeze uptime is 78%. She also has her own freeze combo with Bomber Cat, who is an amazing freeze unit in their own right against black enemies. This also means that there's less pressure for adding extra anti-red crowd control units onto your lineup. Her stats when ultra talented also make her a competent attacker with a solid 22k DPS after strengthen. Her cooldown is also pretty short, only being 57.87 seconds, meaning it is very easy to get her out onto the field again. Her curse immunity can also allow her to be used in a ton of stages in which curse would be a major problem. Her fans consider her very underrated, mainly because of how much creep the red trait has received, but her qualities are still good, especially with her kit. Floating all the way down into 10th place is Joyful Nurse Cat, who received 20 votes. Nurse fans enjoy the various colors of her design, especially the pink, with her pink hearts to her feathers being tipped in pink and even her gigantic needle containing a pink fluid. In terms of battle prowess, she is an anti-black and floating unit who knocks back and slows these traits. She's pretty good against more bulky targets such as the Bun Bun variants and Razorback, keeping them at bay while your other units pick off the weaker support to make dealing with the bulky threat an easier ordeal. As a generalist, she has a solid attacking stat and surprisingly high range of 460, allowing her to outrange a ton of enemies, including Master Ray and the Sloth, who are famous for being able to hit in an extremely large area. Her base DPS at this range is also on the higher end for units with this range. Last is that this Uber is unique in the fact that she is, as of the current making of this video, the only Uber to have the new Sage Slayer ability that was added in version 13.1, making her an extremely viable option for one of the most difficult bosses added to the game. While more Sage Slayers will definitely be added into the future, right now she is only one of 2 units in the game with this ability, the others being the Socrates unit. This ability gives her a brand new role that will probably be a bigger part of her kit in the future. Flying in at 9th is Grand Yokai Tengu, who is the most recent member of the Dynamites family and got 24 votes. Tengu is liked because of their ability to counter both Baron Seal and Archangel Excel, but especially the latter due to their Colossus Slayer, Weaken, and Wave immunities. Their Weaken immunity is also helpful for enemies like Winged Piggy, and thanks to their rather high speed stat, they can be used as a good counter to Hanya. Their Wave immunity is less applicable, but they can still be useful for enemies such as Berserkori, Rajakan, and Yukan. Their knockback helps keep ground against Baron Seal, who is one of the more aggressive Colossus enemies. The Tengu fans also love the more unique design origins of this unit. Grand Yokai Tengu, as their name implies, is based on the yokai of the same name, this being the Tengu. This Tengu specifically is based on the Karasu Tengu, which are Tengu whose heads appear as a bird of prey. They're also sometimes called the Crow or Raven Tengu. In some myths, the Karasu Tengu is considered the Lesu Tengu compared to the more human-looking Tengu, who sport long noses. Another design element that was pointed out is how the unit has several pieces of the Yamabushi outfit, and the Yamabushi themselves are heavily associated with the Tengu. The most obvious being the shakujo, which is a long metal rod that the Yamabushi carried around with them. Another piece of the Yamabushi outfit incorporated is the token, a small black box-shaped hat. One last aspect of their design that was pointed out is their connection to Garuda, who is an eagle-like deity from Hinduism who is the king of birds and is seen as the god of strength and vigilance, and is the mount of Vishnu, one of the principal deities of Hinduism. This bird is one of 2 Dynamites to not have a true form as of this video, so the potential for an astonishing true form is there, and one day, this unit will get a new boost that will make them even better than what they already are. Scoring just 1 vote more than Grand Yokai Tengu are the Cat Quest heroes, who are here at 8th, scoring 25 votes for people's favorites. This unit is generally considered to be on the weaker side of the set, but some people like the fact that they aren't too overpowered. They weaken a wide array of enemy targets, these being red, floating, and black enemies, and in their true form, they also gain relic targeting. They also have a 3% chance to crit, so while you won't use them as an actual crit attacker, it's a nice bonus in the off chance it does proc. Due to their targets, they are super useful for the early game, as most of the non-traitless enemies at that point are either red, floating, or black. Their true form also helped several people with early Uncanny Legends, where they wouldn't have many of the powerful anti-relic options that you unlock later down the road. The design is something a lot of people enjoy as well, due to it incorporating a ton of rare cat units as a part of its design. It takes from Dread Pirate Catly, Rodeo, Onmyoji, Sanzo, Phantom Thief, Necrodancer, Elemental Duelist, Jurassic Cat, Witch, and Doctor with Fortune Teller. The human at the front appears to be based on Brave Cat, and we even have a grave for Maximum the Fighter. Most of the units here also represent many different character builds across RPGs, which this unit takes heavy influence from, especially due to them leveling up after their attack animation. It can also be implied that the meteor they summoned is a special skill that none of the characters would use as a basic attack. This is a common thing across RPGs to have. This group may not be seen as the strongest of the group, but they do have qualities that make them a favorite for some people. Cat Machine Mark III swoops in with double the votes, having scored over twice the votes as Cat Quest heroes, lands here at 7th place with 56 votes. Cat Machine Mark III is a unit who resists Alien, Red, and is the first wave blocker unit added into the game. Even today, it is still one of the most reliable wave blockers in the game, and has the health needed to survive an onslaught of enemies. Unlike what most people would assume, this unit pairs well with Octopus due to having a much larger health stat, allowing them to block waves while Octo was on cooldown. As a red and alien tanker, they can absorb a ton of damage, and due to their alien targeting, they can make dealing with the 2 alien heavy parts of the game much easier to deal with. At level 50, this guy has an effective health stat of 1.45 million health against their targets. Cat Machine is able to completely shut down red and alien waivers, such as Toucan, Elizabeth the 56th, and Dionel. These enemies, especially Dionel, can be very tricky to fight, but since Cat Machine can block their lawn mini-wave, it will be a lot more difficult for this Pegasus to freeze your other incoming units. Another point for their wave blocker is their lawn force swing is actually more of a positive, since your units will likely not push too much, but Cat Machine can keep safe from harm's way by standing further behind your units. As for the design, fans of Cat Machine are big fans of robots, and I can admit this is one cool robot. This unit's talents, especially knockback immunity, can make several annoying enemies much easier to deal with, such as Scissoroo or Red Energy. The original wave blocker may not be seen as highly as they once were when they were first released. The fact is that wave blocking is still a very rare ability, and that makes them very favorable for quite a few individuals. Slashing his way into 6th place is Paladin Cat, scoring 60 votes. This unit's main kit is built around dealing critical hits against metal enemies, having a 50% chance to do so. At level 50, with their talents, this unit can one-shot 300% super metal hippos, which makes dealing with them a lot easier. Even with the level 1 attack talent, the damage is high enough to knock back the Sir Metal Seals found in Uncanny Legends, making them easier to deal with as well. This unit has a rather fast cooldown of only 47 seconds, tie that in with the really cheap cost of $22.50, and that means it won't be the end of the world if your paladin dies sooner than intended, as you'll probably have another one ready to go. Metal enemies in general aren't too well liked simply because of the whole trait being based on RNG with the counters, with very few exceptions, and those few exceptions have their own problems. Paladin's 50% crit chance makes him one of the few units with the highest crit chance in the game that isn't a unit with guaranteed crits. The fans of Paladin that got him in the early game were able to get past most metal stages easily because of their high crit chance, which is why he's looked upon so fondly by some fans. As for the design, people like the whole knight theming. The helmet specifically has a fox-like appearance, alluding to Neki the Fox from Famitsu. The red highlights on the armor help give details to the armor, and the gigantic weapon they carry around is pretty excellent as well. This unit's status as a good critical hit uber is a controversial topic in the community, but the supporters of Paladin find that this unit works extremely well for their niche, and Paladin lands here at the 6th spot in the list. Casting the demons away at number 5 is Devil Hunter Sataru, who had 76 votes casted in his favor. Sataru is a part of a collection of Ubers that were designed to fight against Aku enemies, and being a dynamite gives them viable utility due to their relatively cheap summon and fast cooldown. They have a 50% chance to break Aku shields, and have a 100% chance to slow for 6 seconds and knock back any Aku enemy they hit. This allows them to either A. isolate Akus with shields, or B. crowd control any Aku shield they break, keeping them at bay. He is also surge immune, allowing him to easily cruise on through the many death surges Aku enemies like to spawn. They have a standing range of 470 with an LD that stretches from 370 to 770 range, allowing him to snipe the various backliner Aku enemies, and with that high standing range, can be kept safe from a huge majority of Aku enemies. There is a common debate in the community on who is the best anti-Aku between Devil Hunter Sataru and Divine Lilin, but that is a topic for another day. Sataru in terms of design stands out in a very good way, with the red and black contrasting with each other extremely well. Fans of the Yokai Watch series noticed that Sataru is heavily based on the main protagonist of the franchise, Nathan Adams. The similarities the two share include both of them having a set of spiky hair, the fact that Sataru summons a ghostly creature from a watch-like device, Sataru using a book that allows him to summon the creature, like the Yokai Medallion, and the fact that the ghost-like cat creature resembles Whisper, who is one of the 2 mascots for the franchise. Sataru also seems to be a big hit for Battle Cat's artists, since I've had several artists tell me that his design is really easy to draw. For these reasons, Sataru casts his placement as the 5th most popular Dynamite. Catching criminals at the 4th spot is Cutie Momoko. While they are a legend rare for the set, I figured it wouldn't feel right if she was left out, so that's why she is in this ranking as well. She lands at the 4th place with a good amount of votes, having received 97 votes. Momoko is a crowd controller based unit, having a 100% chance to freeze red, black, and angel enemies for 2.4 seconds on her first hit, along with summoning a level 8 wave on said first attack. She also deals a decent amount of damage across her 2 other hits, with her 3rd hit dealing tons of damage. Her wave's extremely long pierce can keep her targets that are swarming in at bay for a few seconds, which can give your units time to deal with enemies that are already at your front lines. Momoko's gameplay differs a lot from other legend rares, and even units in her own set. Unlike most legend rares, she is more of a crowd controller focused legend rare, and for her uniqueness as a dynamite, she is one of the few units who works best as a supporter with decent damage backing her. Momoko across her 2 forms have very simple yet effective designs that stand out from one another. Momoko's animations help give her a ton of life, especially with the dance that she does at the end of her attack animation. Speaking of which, the dance itself is popular in the community because of a Solomon Tomcat video of her dancing animation was played to the tune of Gamatoto's theme for an hour. As of the making of this video, it has around 57,000 views over the course of 2 years. Granted, this video was on their previous channel before it was terminated for Ponos being absurdly stingy when it comes to leaked content, but it had a ton of views on the old channel as well. Jones even stated that this was the most requested video to be re-uploaded to the new channel. This space detective is a big hit with the fans, and because of this, she finds herself landing here at the 4th spot. The Father of the Year strolls on his way here at the number 3 spot, with Cats in the Cradle receiving 114 votes. Cats in the Cradle is enjoyed by many due to their fun gameplay style. They can knock back floating and alien enemies and summon a very powerful level 2 wave. While they are an extremely powerful unit, having a high damage and health stat, and even with their wave, they aren't so powerful that they blitz through everything, unlike some other units. This gives them a high risk, high reward playstyle that benefits your efforts in the battle and dealing a ton of damage to the enemies. Cats in the Cradle doesn't have that long of a cooldown, only lasting for 51.2 seconds. This short cooldown allows them to be sent out and not feel like a total loss if they don't land an attack. They also don't cost too much to send out, only costing 31.50 cents to send out. Their low cost also means you won't go into too much debt, unlike your average American college student. Cats in the Cradle is pretty speedy too, with the speed of 12. Their speed allows them to easily slip in and land a huge hit, especially due to their high endurance. Because of their alien targeting, they make Into the Future and Cats of the Cosmos so much easier for those who have them. They're also freeze immune, allowing them to be super useful against several enemies like Moth, Henry, and Zurziel. In terms of their design, it helps expand the lore of Mythical Titan Cat with him and his 7 children. Now you might ask yourself, who is the mother of these 7 children? Well, the answer to that question is Princess Punt. Speaking of which, there's a whole unit with Titan Cat and Princess Punt together. Disregarding that, Mythical Titan Cat is a proud protector of anyone who dares attack his children. The main appeal of this unit's design is the lore expansion that it does give to Titan Cat. Cats in the Cradle is also a useful unit for the dojo due to all of their previously mentioned stats, plus with the way the dojo works. Since you get score points instead of cash when killing an enemy, killing things for fast and a cheap cost are the most valuable units, especially if they're spammable. Cats in the Cradle is a good unit for this, thanks to their high DPH, and if they hit the base, they can summon a powerful wave that kills almost everything that spawns, allowing you to get even more kills down the road. This unit is loved by their fans for their ability to be really powerful while not being entirely game-breaking, and the fact that this unit expands on the lore of one of the game's most iconic units. For these reasons, Cats in the Cradle finds themselves here in the 3rd place. The heroes thought they slayed the beast, but the end is only the start of a new beginning, and with this new beginning, Lasvos Reborn rises from the ashes and wreaks havoc here in the 2nd place, scoring a massive 300 votes. The best way to describe this unit is that they're effectively a nuclear warhead. While they won't attack too often, whatever they do hit suffers an immense amount of damage. This unit is the definition of a high-risk, high-reward unit. If he misses, you'll be waiting almost 20 seconds before he attacks again. If he lands a hit, you'll take a massive chunk of an enemy's health, if not straight up kill them. This is especially the case if you get a savage blow. This unit is capable of the highest DPH in the game, outside of extreme cases like Codename 777's damage against Ava Angels. This unit at level 60 deals 345,000 damage before any modifiers. Add Savage Blow and this number climbs to 1.04 million damage. Thrawn is strengthened and this climbs to an even further 1.55 million damage. If he has his Colossus Slayer ability, this number can go up to an absolute eye-watering 2.49 million damage. To demonstrate how absurd this amount of damage is, here is a table I made a while back showcasing how many of the Colossus bosses he kills. I even decided to throw in the strongest possible cat combo mixes to show how much this damage can climb even further. While these damage numbers are amazing, there is a huge catch that Lasvos gets to hit him while strengthened and landing a Savage Blow, which could be a huge challenge, but this is what Lasvos fans mean by high risk, high reward. Lasvos is also immune to every status and neutral effect in the game, meaning that for people who lack a Surge or Toxic Immune unit, for example, have an option to bring a unit that can cover both. Lasvos' massive immunity list lets them be used in many levels where the enemies use status effects to cripple your defenses. This unit is like a Swiss Army knife when it comes to dealing with immunities. Lasvos is also a part of one of the most powerful combos in the game, this being the Bad Guys combo, a Research Large combo that also features Lil Neandem and Killer Cat. While the other 2 units aren't so great, Lasvos can still be useful in a wide variety of situations. The combo itself is extremely powerful, reducing the cooldown of your units by 79 frames, or 2.63 seconds. This combo makes units like Ramen, Cameraman, and Cone Cat have the exact same cooldown as a regular meat shield, and makes a ton of other units extremely spammable. This allows you to get more units onto the field than if you were stuck using Biobone, for example. That combo takes the same amount of slots but only reduces the cooldown by 52 frames, or 1.73 seconds. That extra 0.9 seconds can make a huge difference in the long run. When it comes to this humongous creature's design, many like the fact that it contrasts Cat Quest heroes, seeing as this unit is meant to be a sort of last boss that you would fight at the end of an RPG game. The design from the first to the second form highlights this extremely well, as most bosses tend to take on a much more overwhelming design in their second or third phase of a boss fight. An example of this is Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. Lasvos goes from what is just a floating head with hands to a horrifying amalgamation of several different things. with them showing multiple wings, a ton of demon heads on the body with eyes sprouting on multiple spots of the body, to even the multiple horns in the visible ribcage and the huge mouth on its underside. Evolving again, the creature sprouts even larger wings, the underside of the mouth going agape and being a lot larger, and having even more things sprouting out of it. Despite this design's overbearing appearance, you can make sense of what everything is supposed to be, which highlights that a very complex design can work if you make everything work together. This massive beast is adored by many, to the point where they even menace the second spot on this ranking. However, with all things like this, there can only be one that comes out on top. With that, I think we can finally reveal who the most popular Dynamite is, but before I do, be sure to give this video a like if you're enjoying it and check to see if you're subscribed or not. If not, be sure to turn that button from red to gray to be subscribed and comment down below on what your favorite Dynamite is. With that said, let's reveal who the most popular Dynamite is. The most popular Dynamite is Greater Balrog Cat, whose vote was a lot closer to Lasvos than you would think. Scoring 324 votes, they only had, well, 24 more votes than Lasvos. I knew before even making the poll public that the number one spot was going to either be Lasvos or Balrog, but knowing how the community feels about the other Dynamites is also nice. Now more about what people like about Balrog themselves. Balrog is considered a part of the big three of the most broken Ubers in this game, the other two being Phono and Dazzly. This is because Balrog has the single highest DPS in the game. They have a base DPS value of 53.6k at level 50. This number triples when strengthened to an absurd 160,000 DPS, which is nearly unmatched anywhere. As for his DPH, he deals 121,000 damage pre-strengthened, and when strengthened, this number goes to a massive 363,000 damage. Unlike most Ubers who would have this insane damage stat, Balrog is extremely spammable, to the point where he has the fastest cooldown out of any non-collab Uber in the game that wasn't intentionally designed to be a smaller, more spammable unit like the First Form Ultra Souls, Pixies, and Uberfest units. His sheer spammability makes the overall risk of sending him out extremely minuscule. The amount of lineups you could throw him into is nigh infinity due to his sheer brute strength being able to cleave through most enemies in a single hit or two. Balrog is even pretty tanky, having a health stat of 126,000. For a unit this spammable and a unit that hits this hard, he can also tank vital hits if need be. In terms of one-on-one matchups, Balrog is literally uncontested for the best Uber in this category. Even a ton of matchups in which Balrog would struggle become pretty trivial once you learn to master the Thunderbolt cannon, giving Balrog a ton of free hits. The list of summon enemies that become much easier to fight when pairing Balrog with the Thunderbolt cannon is so long that you could dedicate an entire video to it. I will name a few notable examples however. Some enemies include Arost, Dark Otter, Professor A, and even bosses like Gigando, Nala, and even Earl. A more unnoticed ability of his is his Weaken immunity, which makes him extremely viable against bosses with this ability, mainly Hanya and Urs. Though to be fair, there aren't many enemies in this game that could weaken in the first place. When it comes to Balrog's design, he has two main inspirations. The first being the Oni, who are horned yokai who appear like ogres or trolls in Japanese myth and are known for their superhuman strength. The second being the Balrog from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings series, and is famous for being at the climax of the first film of the trilogy, and spawning the now popular "You shall not pass!" line. Balrog are demons that shroud themselves in flame and smoke, and use weapons coated in an eternal flame, like Greater Balrog's ever-burning club. These two influences come together to create perhaps one of the most powerful units in the game, and the most popular Dynamite in the community. This video was made as my 20,000 subscriber special, and I just want to give a massive thank you to the community for helping me reach this massive milestone. With 20,000 subscribers, this makes me 1/5 the way to a silver play button. These sorts of community popularity contest videos are always so fun to do, but because of the time they take to make, I can really only do them every so often. So if you're all interested in another community ranking, help me reach 25,000 subscribers and I could do another one of these community rankings. If you enjoyed this ranking, be sure to give this video a like and comment down below on who your favorite Dynamite is. Also, shout out to the following YouTube channel members: Something Something YouTube, Potato King, and the Battle Cats and BC Clips for being silver members or higher. If you want to receive a shout out like this, then be sure to become a channel member today, as it's a way to help me in a way that keeps the lights on. Channel members also get an exclusive role on my Discord server, for which you can find a link to in the description down below. With that said, I hope you all have a wonderful day,